Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today I'm taking more of your questions in another segment of Ask Judy. This from Judy Pasqualoni. Hi, just stopping by to ask a question. I'm having a discussion on Facebook and difference of opinion on the color of Cindy's convertible. Clearly bright red, but in some episodes later, like when Cindy and Ben are looking for her birth mother, it's orange. Now, interesting because I looked back at a couple of episodes when you said that, and I thought, oh, well, I seem to remember when she first came. Yeah, it seemed red. And yet I took a look at this shot here from The Outsider when Ben and Cindy first got married. And, because I thought, well, maybe it was a different car in the 9th season, but here is a shot from that episode, the carousel, when they were looking for Cindy's birth mother. And when you put these two together, it's the same car and it looks the same color. So I don't know whether it was lighting that made it look different, or there's such a thing as color correction that happens with any final printing of film. And in the final edit, they'll do something, they'll do a pass through on the color to make the color consistent. So throughout the episode, so it's not at different intensities and things like that. So perhaps like one season to another, or maybe it's something dialed a little bit differently in the color, or maybe it's in, TVs. TVs can make colors look different. I know, like on one computer screen of mine to another, the color can look a little different shades. So I'm not sure where it is that happened, but it does, from these two shots, appear to be the same car. And in this case, they kind of look the same color. So I'm not sure why it would suddenly look more red in some episodes, but maybe somebody else will have some sort of a technical explanation for that. Maybe John Dayton knows something. Maybe he'll come in and give us an answer to that. But it's a good question. Thank you for asking. This is from Graham Jessup. Hey there, Judy, longtime fan of the Waltons in your vlog. Thank you. Thank you very much. I've been watching old Love Boat episodes recently and have seen you. Could you talk about your show stories that you remember from being on the set of the Love Boat? And if you met any old-time stars and just a general vibe of being on the show. I had always really enjoyed watching Love Boat. I mean, I just thought it was fun. And I enjoyed seeing stars from various different shows and movies and things who went and did guest spots on there. So I just thought it was fun. And I was so excited when my agent called and said that I had been offered an episode of Love Boat. Now, once in a while, maybe once a season, they would actually go out and film on a cruise ship. But most of the time they filmed, I think it was at 20th Century Fox on the Fox lot. So I was on a soundstage. Very much like the Waltons and their interiors. The pool was on a soundstage. So I was used to that kind of a concept, but they could control the elements much more. When they were really at sea, I mean, the wind whipping around, and I'm sure it was a nightmare for the sound people, and lighting would have been harder to control, because how do you control where the sun is when you're on a boat and you can't really block the sun, and you can't always get the angles you want. With being on a sound stage, if you're at the railing of the ship, they can get the camera like where you would be standing on the ocean. So you can get far enough away to get those kinds of shots. So that's a case where having a set gives you far more ability to actually shoot what you want to shoot. So that was one of the first things. It wasn't a surprise to me that I wasn't going on a cruise someplace. And most episodes had 3 storylines. So you didn't necessarily interact with the other storylines. There might be an occasional crossover where, say, everybody's entering and they might pass each other or things like that. But for the most part, you shot the pieces of your segment, and the other people might work on different days. So I really didn't get to work that much, or I didn't interact with the actors from the other storylines. I think Dawn Adams was I believe in the segment that I was, not the segment I was on, but the episode I was on. I played opposite Robert Fuller, which was lovely. We had a really nice time working together. And I remember that, I mean, pretty much anybody who does Love Boat is going to spend time around the pool. And I hate wearing full body makeup. I hate that they put it on with a wet sponge, and it's gross and disgusting, and it feels like you have chalk all over you all day, and you can't really easily wash your hands or things like that. So I was going to be filming in the summer or late summer. And so I decided I was just going to get a really good tan so that I didn't have to wear body makeup when I had to be wearing a swimsuit. So I remember being around a pool and working on my tan. Now this was in the early 80s. So I think it was about 1980. So we didn't know as much about stay out of the sun and don't get such a deep tan as we do now. So I just would lie around the pool, and I joke about, well, I'm doing homework, I'm preparing for a role. And so I got a really good tan, so I didn't have to wear body makeup. And I remember some of the wardrobe was mine, the swimsuits were mine. And they would always ask you if you had evening gowns or things like that. So I remember bringing in an evening gown that I really liked, but it was brown, and they wanted to be a brighter color. So they literally recreated the evening gown I had in red, which was stunning. I mean, that's how talented their wardrobe department, their seamstresses were. So things like that. The other outfits I wore were all their wardrobe. And it was just fun. And I had watched these characters, Gavin MacLeod as the captain, and Fred Grandy as the purser, and Lauren Tweez as the cruise director, and to suddenly actually get to Ted Lange as the bartender. I got to interact with those people, and I had done game shows and other things with some of them and met them, but it was just, I don't know, I always get a thrill when I go on some other show that I'm familiar with, and it's like, ooh, there they are. I can be just as much of a geek about that stuff. So it was a lot of fun. I was really excited, and I had a good time. And AJ McNabb more or less asked me the same questions about Love Boat. So I'm hoping that I answered your questions about my experiences on the set and being able to mingle with the other stars. So interesting that two of you had the same question. That Love Boat episode must have aired and you both thought about it. So thank you for your interest, and thanks for watching it. This question is from Holly. She's talking a little bit about the hair thing, yes, and then impressed that I learned to drive on a stick shift. Yeah, it was fun. But then wondered if your parents or agent ever enrolled you in elocution lessons, or did anyone in the cast take such classes? No one in our younger cast, but sometimes when you've done theater or you've been to drama school or theater school, there will be different classes that will cover different types of speech or voice, not singing, but just voice. And I know a girlfriend of mine taught voice from that, how to really use your voice effectively. And I always admire actors who have these voices that just, someone like a Richard Burton, or some of the British actors. I mean, he wasn't actually British, but some of that they have so much color and so many layers to their voice that they're just wonderful to listen to. So I think had I been in a situation to do more of that, I think I would have enjoyed it, to play more with how do you create all of that? I did it from a singing standpoint, but not just from a speaking standpoint. That's what I have for you for this segment of Ask Judy. If you have a question, put it in the comments below, and if I get a chance, I will grab it and I will answer it for you. Meanwhile, I'll be back with more behind the scenes of the Waltons and more Ask Judy. Thanks for watching.